Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly, and today I have the absolute pleasure of talking about some new content that's in the pipeline from Bungie in the form of Year 2's major stepping stone called Forsaken. There's a lot to cover today, so without a lot of primer, let's get into it. Though, a quick note, thanks for your patience with this one. I know I'm a bit behind by a couple of days, but 2 days of bad migraines will do that to a person. I do want to try to cover every aspect in as much detail as we can, or at least that we have. There's a lot of room for speculation on basics, and also including practices that we'll have to talk about to highlight one way or another. Additionally, if you don't want spoilers, then you might not want to listen to this stuff, but there's really a lot of vagueness placed on a lot of this so far, so that's awesome as a teaser. Just as a heads up, there's really not too much revealed so far. First off, let's talk about something that feels different from the recent Vidocs and discussions that Bungie has given us over the last several months. Tone. Of course, this is opinion, but I feel like this is a group of people that are more confident than ever in what they're trying to create. It's awesome to see and hear their words, and as usual, their excitement can be rather infectious. I try my best to keep the discussions tempered in my head, knowing they're trying to talk things up and they're just generally having fun, but they make it difficult over at Bungie, especially with sound effects guy making some returns as he does.
Pass that thing. You got a huge hammer now.
David Samuel, never change. Please, for the love of God, never change. Anyway, I just wanted to say that it feels like the guys are reinvigorated, or more so, feels so, and definitely gives this air of confidence that I don't think has been at Bungie in a while, and I appreciate it. Carrying on, let's get into the first major moment of the Vidoc. The expansion will start with a prison break. Yes, the first thing that had us all going, what the hell do you mean Cade's filling up the Prison of Elders in the new web lore that we have available to us? We finally see most of that build up to a climax, and then subsequently destroyed, or at least a good portion of it is. Here we see a lot of different enemy species in the prison. They just start shooting at each other, which begs the question, Cade, did you take their guns? Did it ever occur to you to do that? Anyway, now that we see the Awoken's favorite pastime being punched in the figurative face, I have a feeling the Red Legion is to blame, largely, for this prison break. I could be wrong, of course, but with their forces being ripped in two over the course of Year 1 and basically left with no leadership, they seem the most likely choice. Of course, there's another obvious possibility, but that comes in the form of the new Fallen group that we know of called the Scorn. I say they're fallen, but if they don't look like a mix of Borderlands and Dark Souls, I'm really not sure what does. These guys just look gruesome. But Beard, they're still fallen! Ah, shut up, they're different for sure. This is definitely the most unique looking group that I think we've had throughout the whole entirety of Destiny, especially outside of, included races that we've had from day one. They also have a few things that should be pointed out as we go along with the Vidoc. One major piece is their use of powers, or harnessing them. I haven't heard many say this yet, but the arc energy that seems prevalent with some of the major Scorn leadership makes me wonder exactly what's going on there. I almost wonder if they're able to harness some forces of the light, or if they've just found a means to focus it, much like our ghosts help to focus the light within us. They do use some other primitive type weapons, and I'm still getting some Thrall-like vibes from these guys with torches and lanterns, but we'll see how that all goes along. All the same, I like how they look, and they definitely feel menacing. Additionally, they're outlined as pirates and assassins, so Sea of Thieves, your pirate assassin expansion on the way anytime soon? Just saying. And we haven't really seen much of what's going on with the traditional pirate-like Fallen. We know the Fallen also aren't really doing that well, so whether this is their last-ditch effort to stay together, or a means to overthrow us, or there's something else further to the truth of what this group might be fighting for, linked with Aldrin, well, it's obviously a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I can't wait to see those answers come to fruition. Please, because some of them have been asked since day one of Year 1. What should also be mentioned, I don't see a single mask on these Fallen, minus something they choose to wear. There's also a larger Fallen that sits on a throne that does have a mask on, but again, this seems by choice. I'm left to think they've developed a way past relying on ether to breathe like we know that most Fallen have to actually use, especially with how dregs of this new Fallen sect still don't seem to have anything with masks or otherwise on, and we're still not sure, again, what is going on since day one. So Bungie, please explain what is going on with Fallen. Anyway, time will tell. Again, I know that it's not entirely new enemies, but with what we have and how our threats are being pushed down one by one, what with the Vex being pushed down a bit with the Curse of Osiris expansion, Rasputin being revived or reawoken, depending on your interpretation, the Red Legion and subsequent Cabal being led down a dark alley, well, that leaves the Hive and the Fallen left over. We're countering the forces that have been against us pretty harshly since getting our light back. This is just another step, but it doesn't stop there. The area we fight in is called the Tangled Shore. It's a bunch of lashed together asteroids and other space junk outside in the asteroid belt. In the background, we do see the reef, or at least what we've all assumed is the reef. This seems like the area past the void that we've always seen out in the reef since we first saw those cutscenes of arriving to the Queen's domain. I'm anxious to see what's fully out there and to see how expansive the environment is. If there's anything we haven't talked about too much that I think is taken for granted, it's the areas we visit in Destiny 2. They are large and expansive. They're not Skyrim-sized, of course, but I still appreciate the detail and care that's put into them, because Skyrim's not touching that level of detail without the help of the mod community. No hate, just saying. This seems like the setup for us to meet up with the leadership of the Scorn, which are simply called the Barons. The Barons seem like they're the ones in total control of these powers that we see, but I'm not entirely sure of that. It's just a guess. They highlight a few Barons, one being a sniper, one being a heavy melee attacker with a couple of torches, another that seems to pop out of a portal and transform. There's a lot of different powers that these guys like to use, and that's making me think they have this connection to the light or means that they can focus it again. Meanwhile, I think they're also going to be the set pieces for us getting our new supers. With each displaying a sign of some type of power and how to access it, I'm wondering if these aren't a means for us to access these new powers. Then again, maybe Callus will finally prove himself to us with this, "Hey, look, I have power, do you want it? Well, too bad, you gotta prove yourself." Callus, if you're in this, be in it for like a fraction of a second, please. Okay, bias on him is showing, let's just move on. The new supers that we've been shown seem to be anywhere from a multi-angle Titan slam with Striker Titan, a large hammer more akin of that of what Saladin uses from Rise of Iron's axe, some anime-style moves consisting of multi-knife throwing from the Hunters, a return of the arc knife but giving it to the Night Stalkers instead, called Void Blade, and, well, I'm a very happy Warlock to say the least. Someone was listening to me about wanting to fire a Kamehameha. The Warlock is the nerdiest of the bunch. Let it all be known now. Even as far as the Dawncaller plunging their sword into the ground for a new save spot for Dark Souls. Yeah, I'm carrying this on way too long. Let's move on. All the subclass paths look amazing, and I can't wait to see all the changes coming to them soon. As we've said a few times on this channel, if you change the summoning ritual of a super, you change the power, and that is being proven by these different harnessings of our current elements. No darkness subclass or anything like that, but I think I'd rather have 3 new ways to play per our class. But that's my opinion. Like it or hate it. Actually, I don't know how you can hate this if you're still playing. And speaking of new ways to play, we have bows. Yep, we're stealing the Night Stalker shtick and putting it on every other class at this point. Short bows, compound bows, long bows, you name it. We have it on the Vidoc. Also, in before Warframe did it first. Well, Warframe wasn't the one to have the bow, so stop sounding like Bluehole Studios. They're stupid for the frying pan fiasco and they look stupid for it. Don't make yourself look stupid. That should be the lesson outlined here. That's all on bows. I know I'll be using them pretty well on day 1, and if given the option, I'll be using 3 of them for all instances because that just sounds awesome. Yeah. 3 bows. I'll do that. But before I get too carried away with that and start talking about other things that are coming down the pipeline which are exciting, let's discuss the last major area that they revealed to us in the Vidoc. I'm still a bit confused of this area and if it will be explorable or not, but we know it's directly related to the raid especially. It's called the Dreaming City, and all we know so far is that it's linked to the new raid coming up. They seem to give some hints that we'll be able to explore it as well, but this is yet to be seen. The area is also ever-changing, and they gave hint that it will change every week or so after release, which is interesting to say the least. We'll have to see how many different variations exist of this raid and area, but with it being linked to the Awoken homeworld, it just looks amazing. I don't know how else I can really say it. The space that we've seen so far looks giant and showcases a sense of mystery, especially with the changes to the tower spires that we see all over the place. Some points look void-like, while others look Taken-esque. Anyway, there's more we're going to have to uncover from this, but there's a bit more to talk about when it comes down to the Dreaming City, and I have a feeling we'll see more of it later on. But there are some other pieces to talk about, and I want to get into some of the weird portions, if you will, or the things that kind of need to be discussed. Though, part of that comes down to the annual pass and its price points. I want to cover this topic separately with some expanded thoughts a bit down the line here, but even then, we don't know everything about it just yet. If you know you'll be playing Destiny, then this is apparently the way you'll be able to keep up with more of what you like. I didn't hear a single reference to Eververse throughout the Vidoc, and while I feel it will still be there, I'm hoping we hear how it'll be cut down in its overall showcase in the game. Hope. I can hope, right? Additionally, the expansion itself is $40, and each of these 3 additional packs that they're breaking down over the course of the year look like they're about $10 a piece. This amounts to the $70 price tag that they're asking for the annual pass. While I do feel they need to give something back to those who have been with the game since the get-go to make up for more of what's happened, I know that a feeling of entitlement is pretty well the last thing I should almost feel from a developer that still is trying their best. And they've been definitely putting their best foot forward, I think, especially recently. There should be a charge. The artists, developers, and programmers deserve to have food put on their table. I know that's making everything a little bit on the oversimplified side, but really, if all of the changes go well, then that's all the better. Again, I want to discuss it on its own more than anything, and probably once we get more info on it. But I'll be very happy to see some of these incredibly salty haters be thrown from the overalls of the new content. Mostly. Bungie is still giving a roadmap of what's to come. It's also giving an idea of what you get with the expansion and the additional packs later on in the year, but it's also outlining what everyone gets, not just for picking up those expansion passes. To those not willing to put out much more, which again is understandable, you can still get some of the cool stuff once 2.0 releases. Collections is point 1. We'll be able to track down how we're doing with weapons, armor, vanity items, ghosts, so on. All of it throughout the game and otherwise. That being said, I'm hoping that this also means some of the items in Eververse through Year 1 are obtainable in another way. Otherwise, this will completely drop a fair point of the collection section. The next section is Triumphs, and this is lays back to a lot of stuff we wanted previously. Though we don't know details of how this will work out, we do know titles and other elements are listed in this system. Everything is still a heavy work in progress, which also includes collections, so keep that in mind if you're seeing anything confirming something further. It's also still very much speculation what's going to happen. We know there's a lore section invested, but it's still up in the air how detailed this section will be, if all old Grimoire will be available to us or not. I'm still hoping. Cross your fingers, gang. Then again, maybe a certain someone can help save that little piece for us all, We'll talk about that a bit later, though. Man, there's so much to talk about. Now you see why I like to make some unscripted content once in a while. Anyway, everyone will also get a hold of random rolls, which return in their entirety, though we have to see how rolls will work along with perks and so on. Weapon slots are changing for the most part as well, even being said to house 3 shotguns if you so choose, and basically just dropping the idea of weapon slots altogether. There's a bulk deletion for shaders coming up, which D kind of stumbled and said there was something more to talk about with them later on. Additional bounty systems, a new modification system that needs to be talked about with nothing confirmed but a lot of speculated on, more vault space, more bounties, which we'll see addition to in July, and just more. Overall, just more. And this stuff is added for everyone once 2.0 goes live. Try out the new systems. Feel if they're to your liking. I'm appreciative that Bungie is allowing everyone to make the choice if they want to progress further with these changes going to everybody before investing additional cash into the game. Say what you want about it, but to me, it makes sense, and at least allows you to feel things out a bit more. So, what haven't I covered? Well, I didn't cover a lot, really. I have a bunch of things that we need to chat about, but some of them I have extreme reasons for holding back on. Obviously, as I said, the annual pass discussion will be one I want to drive home on its own. It's not because, oh, Beard's going for the easy content, it's because it deserves its own discussion. Truly, it does. We also didn't talk about the new mode called Gambit, which combines PvE and PvE elements together, and I will actually get a chance to play this. I'm heading to Guardian Con next month, so I'll keep a lot of my opinions to myself about how the mode actually plays until then. Maybe it'll even be a more updated version to what the guys had to play over at the summit. Hopefully it will be, anyway. The only thing that really remains a very heavy mystery to me so far about this is the guy that they showcase within this mode. He's a mystery man so far, but some of the flavor text we've scoped from weapons that seem to mark the Gambit's overall marking kind of show that this guy might be called the Drifter, and this may possibly be him. I'm anxious to see what's up with him. Still holding out for Shin Malfure though, you know? Especially with all this Western vibe stuff going on. We also didn't talk about some of the other implications of unique weapons we've seen, one very incredible looking hand cannon being something we have to discuss, the return of some other characters we've seen over the last few years and we now miss, and, well, the list continues. I thought I had a lot of topics to discuss before. Nope. This is getting ridiculous, Bungie. Like, really, give a guy a break. Not enough time in the day, I tell you what. Let's see here. Anything else on my list I missed? Full transparency, build not confirmed, work in progress, Dreaming City, Tangled Shore, Western vibe. Oh, right. This was meant to create more questions than answered, and I'm happy to have that again. This feels like the old Bungie we've known over the years, at least to me. It's more what I expect to see from them. Are they building hype for a thing we won't get to play or see more about for another 3 months? They sure are. Am I okay with that? If they keep giving us small pieces to talk about and see, noticing these improvements they've been working on, and genuinely it feels like they're putting a large amount of work into it, then yes, I'm alright with it, as I'm sure many others are and will be. I am anxious to see what comes next, both good and bad anxious, of course. I know this is make or break for Bungie and the Destiny project, but we'll see what they can do about it. I'm seriously curious to see what's next up for them and for the game. So, Bungie, do this right. Take the time. I've been pretty thrilled with Warmind's changes so far, and I'm interested in what's to come in July for this next update that you've shown us. Just do this right. Show you've been listening over the year. So far, I think even some of your staunchest critics are happy to see the direction you're going. I know I am. Anyway, that is where I think I'll leave it. Like I said, we have some other side conversations to have later on, but as for the Vidoc, I think I've covered most everything that I wanted to. I hope you guys are looking forward to future conversations and enjoyed listening to my ramblings here today. You know the buttons to press to let me know how you felt, but don't forget to hit that bell for me and your other favorite creators here on YouTube. But for now, to Guardians and non-Guardians alike, I'll see you next space time. Take care.